Hey guys, Terra Watcher here. The next 2 weeks on Terra are going to be really exciting. That's because 4 new protocols will be launching. In this video, I'm going to tell you what those protocols are. I'm going to tell you when they'll be launching and how they'll be launching. 3 of them will be using a liquidity bootstrapping pool, and the 4th will be using a forge event. So toward the end of the video, I'm going to tell you the difference between those 2 launch methods. They're kind of similar, but they do have some very crucial differences that you need to know. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you lots of data about past LBPs and forge events that have been held on Terra, so that you can be properly informed if you want to participate in these upcoming events. One other thing, I'm going to go really fast in this video, so I'm just going to give you an overview of these things, but I will provide some Medium articles in the description, and also my dashboard with all my data from past LBPs and forge events, so you can do your own research. So let's get started. All right, so it's going to be 4 protocols over 2 weeks. Anyway, the first one is Nebula protocol. As you can see, Nebula protocol is going to be having its LBP from April 27th to May 2nd. You can see some other data there, the initial composition of the pool. It's going to be worth 2% of the total supply of Neb. You can see the weights there. Nebula protocol is going to create ETFs. So it's going to create baskets of cryptos, and you'll be able to buy a share in the basket and also sell shares in the basket. These baskets, or these ETFs, are going to be called clusters. Also, something interesting, regular TradFi ETFs get rebalanced from time to time, but with Nebula, since it's going to be decentralized, users are going to be able to rebalance these clusters, and you'll get Neb token incentives for doing so. Also, with these clusters, the market price may fall below the NAV, or it may rise above the NAV, and in that case there'll be an arbitrage opportunity. And here on Terra, we love our ARBs. We've got B-Luna and Luna. There's lots of ARBs on Prism, but with Nebula, they're going to actually sponsor arbitrage. So if you ARB these cluster tokens, you'll get rewarded with Neb token. So there's lots going on here with Nebula. Definitely very exciting. You should check it out and maybe participate in the LBP if you want. Next up, we're going to have Reactor, which is coming with another LBP on April 28th to May 1st. Reactor basically wants to be the convex to Astroport's curve. So here on Terra, we're going to have the Astro Wars. Those are coming up. So Reactor is going to be, first of all, they're going to offer liquid staking for locked Astro. And also, of course, they're going to have vaults where you can deposit your Astroport liquidity tokens and get a boosted yield. And said boosted yield will come from all the Astro that Reactor is going to be accumulating. So they're going to have their LBP. As you can see, it is going to overlap with the Nebula LBP. That's going to be the initial composition. It's going to be equal to 2.5% of the total supply. They are going to have an airdrop and also a convert drop where you can give them Astro and they'll give you some other things, but the LBP is going to be the first way that regular people can purchase the Reactor token if you want to do so. Next up is Retrograde. Retrograde also aspires to be a convex on Terra. So they're pretty much going to do the same thing as Reactor. It's going to be like a Coke and Pepsi kind of relationship. As you can see, they're not having an LBP, they're having a forge event. Now, whatever they call it in their Medium articles, it is going to be a forge event. It's going to be the same concept as Prism Forge and the forge that Kinetic had. Although Kinetic also had another name for it, Entropy. Anyway, these are all forge events. The terminology gets confusing, but this is going to be a forge event, just like you saw with Prism. It's going to be from May 2nd to May 8th. And the 4th protocol is Sigma. So Sigma is going to be an options protocol. They're going to have calls and puts, and also they're going to have options vaults from the beginning. So you'll be able to either deposit UST or deposit Luna, and the vault is going to write options and sell them, and you will get the yield from the premiums. So it's going to have these vaults. Going to be pretty interesting. They haven't released all the details, but we do know it's going to be early May, and the LBP for Sigma is going to be 75 million SIG tokens, which equals 7.5% of the total supply. All right, so to sum up, so far, you now know that we're going to have Nebula, Reactor, and Sigma with LBPs, and Retrograde is going to have a Forge style event. Moving on now, I want to show you this dashboard here real quick. I don't want to really hold your hand here. You can do your own research. I'm just going to go over this dashboard because this dashboard shows you the difference between an LBP and a Forge event. They're pretty similar. They're both ways of distributing token at the launch of a protocol. They distribute the token and raise capital for the teams making the protocols. There are some key differences though. Another similarity is with both of these things. They also facilitate price discovery, and they allow everybody to arrive at a fair price for the token before it begins trading on, say, Astroport. So the differences are, with a liquidity bootstrapping pool, the price of the token being distributed is going to start high, and then said price is going to plunge because the weight of the token is going to start very low, and then it gradually increases. If you want to learn more about this weight mechanic, I would recommend you watch a video I made all about liquidity bootstrapping pools. That was from a few days ago. I guess I'll put a link in the description. So with an LBP, you can buy from it, you can sell into it during the period, which is typically 3 to 5 days, and the price is going to change. So not everybody will get the same price. The price is going to change according to buy pressure, sell pressure, and the weight shift, because the weight is going to be shifting such that the price of the token being distributed is going to have natural down pressure at all times. And we'll take a look at some charts of past LBPs in a moment, but first, there's the Forge event. Now, with the Forge event, you don't really have to worry when you go in because everybody's going to get the same price at the end. The price of the token being distributed starts off low, but that doesn't really matter because it is going to go up, and then it arrives at one price and everybody ends up paying that price. You just put a lot of UST into the pool, and then, at the end, they do some math and they figure out everybody pays the same price. That's all. I don't need to belabor the point. It's just whenever you go in, everybody's going to get the same price, so it doesn't matter when you go into a Forge event. You can also withdraw from a Forge event if you think the price has gone too high, which will then lower the price that everybody will get. Okay, so let's look at some historical examples. If we want to understand the future, we've got to look to the past. So if you're gonna participate in any of these 4 launch events that'll be coming up over the next 2 weeks, this dashboard is going to be an invaluable tool for you. Let's take a look at it. So first of all, the whale LBP. As you can see, the price of the token whale started high, and then according to the weight shift and the buy and sell pressure, it fell. With an LBP, the price is always going to plunge at the beginning, so with an LBP, you never want to buy at the beginning. Don't do it. With a liquidity bootstrapping pool, do not ape in at the beginning. You can study this yourself. One thing I really want to point out is that people got wrecked here. Just look at the buy volume. All right, take a look at the buy volume on the screen. 700,000, right? 700,000 UST rushed into this thing at the beginning, and here's the price in. It's more granular. It's in 10-minute intervals. The purple price appears in hour intervals, averaged over an hour. Here it is with 10-minute intervals. As you can see, the price went up. So it started at $1, people aped in, the price went up, and then the weight was shifting, so the price of the token plunged. You do not want to ape into these LBPs at the beginning. If you do so, you'll get wrecked. So that's a lesson we can learn from history. Here's also something interesting. You can see the price of whale during the first week of trading after the LBP. Something interesting that happened, again, I don't want to dwell on this point too much, but you can see, take a look at the whale price in purple right there. So the LBP ended with a whale price of 20 cents, but when it started trading, the price was 60 cents. So how did it go up? It went up because when the composition of the whale LBP switched to a normal liquidity pool on Terra the weights, these are the end weights, they were set to 50-50 when this whole composition was switched to Terra swap. So the composition of whale went down, which means the price went up. And they did this intentionally so that people would know the price would be going up, so they would buy toward the end of the LBP period. So yeah, the price automatically went up, and then since people had agreed on a price of 20 cents, it fell. You can look into this yourself, try and figure out how that happened. Nebula is going to be doing something similar. Check out the Neb weights, look at the start weights and the end weights, and remember, the whole composition of the Nebula LBP is going to be switched at the end of the LBP period into a liquidity pool on Astroport. So you're going to see a phenomenon similar to this. You should look into it. Next up is the Halo LBP. You can see same thing, starts high, goes low. You can look at this stuff yourself. The first week of Halo trading. This is very important because you want to ask yourself, is the LBP actually going to allow the market to arrive at a fair price? Or is the price going to be very volatile once it starts its normal trading? That's something you want to know if you're going to participate in these LBPs. So check out my data here. Here's local, which was another LBP on Terra, and the price of local after the LBP when it first started trading for the first week. You want to study this stuff. All right, here we're going on to the Forge style launch method. So with Forge, like I said, everybody gets the same price. So you can see with Prism, here you go. As people were adding UST to the Prism Forge pool, you can see the UST going up at 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million. As people were adding UST, the implied price of Prism was going up because that's what happens with an LBP. Sorry, that's what happens with a Forge event, right? Similar but different. So here you go. It reached a peak right here. And then the price only went down because at the end of a Forge period, you can only withdraw your UST. So the price can only go down. And then eventually, at the end of the Forge period, it arrives at a price. In this case, it was 33 cents, as you can see, and everybody buys their token for the same price. And here's the first week of Prism trading after the Forge event. As you can see, it jumped up, probably because a lot of people learned about it in the last 2 days and they couldn't deposit any UST because you could only withdraw in the last 2 days. So they probably, they wanted to get in as soon as possible. They bought immediately upon the commencement of trading. So the price spiked, then the price plunged for some inexplicable reason. But anyway, it settled around 30 cents, which is around 33 cents. It settled around 33. Never mind. Let's move on. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I don't edit these videos because I don't really know how to edit these videos. I like to do them just in one take. Okay, so Kinetic. They also had a Forge event that was just a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, just like Prism. You don't really need to study these charts for Forge events because everybody gets the same price anyway. These charts are just a good illustration of what is happening in a Forge event. All right. Here's the first week of Kinetic trading after the Forge event. So yeah, it looks like the Forge event was successful in establishing a fair price because there was no extreme volatility in the first week of trading. So there you go. This dashboard is going to be super valuable for you if you want to participate in any of the upcoming launches over the next 2 weeks. I would highly recommend you study my data that I've pulled from the blockchain for you. So let's hop back over here to the slideshow. One thing. So in conclusion, over the next 2 weeks, you're going to have the chance to participate in the Nebula, Reactor, and Sigma liquidity bootstrapping pools. You will also get a chance to participate in the Retrograde Forge event. Know the difference between the two before you participate. Yeah, these 4 protocols are all going to be pretty big. I'm looking forward to all of them. Basically why I'm excited about these 4 protocols is that they're going to interact with the whole ecosystem. Nebula is going to be making clusters from all kinds of tokens in the ecosystem. Sigma is going to enable you to write options on all kinds of tokens in the Terra ecosystem. You'll even be able to write options on Nebula clusters. And then Reactor and Retrograde, of course, they're going to be accumulating lots of Astro. That's going to be important for the Astro Wars. And obviously the Astro Wars are going to affect the entire ecosystem because everything is traded on Astroport, right? So these are going to be important protocols, and yeah, you're going to have a chance to get in at the ground floor. One more thing at the end of the video. Over the next 2 weeks, I am going to be tracking all of these events. So I'm going to have live dashboards. I'm going to have commentary and analysis. So definitely follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to me here on YouTube. I'm going to be producing lots of content so that you can understand all of these launches as they happen and hopefully not get wrecked. That's a good thing to hope. All right, so that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.